I got started in media quite by accident, actually. I didn't have a plan to be in media. I was doing social work, cultural and recreational officer I was with the Social Development Commission, led by Dr. Olive Lewin. So I was working in the 6 prisons of Jamaica, as they were called then. And I remember one day going to the women's prison, which at the time was located at the rear of what we now call the Tower Street Adult Correctional Center. And I was not happy with something that had happened. Mrs. Beverly Manley was about to visit, and so they got all the inmates to be properly scrubbed and their uniforms out. And I thought, why not let her come and see the way things are? So we walk off a job. And then went home. After about a week, I discovered, oh, this is not for my personality. I can't stay home doing nothing. I'm one of those people who must work. And then Leonie Forbes had taught me at School of Drama, because I had gone as a foundation member of the School of Drama. So I called her up, hoping that she would, one, have a position for me behind the scenes. You hear me? And when I called her up, she says, why don't you come in and talk with Dennis Hall? Now, Dennis Hall at the time was the chief presenter. And I got nervous. I said, why? She says, well, talk to him, because I'm hoping to be behind the scenes. I was terribly shy. I was so shy that I would have been a social cripple, you know. But had it not been for theatre and the encouragement and support of senior people in the business. Anyway, I went in, and Dennis Hall had a little thing called an audition package, news, death announcements, weather, whatever. And he took me to the studio, and I'm there shaking like a leaf. The way I called it my theatre, my performance skill, and I think I brought it off fairly well. But when I nearly did is when he says, come with me. So I said, where are we going, sir? Over to television. I said, television? To do what, sir? An audition. Well, I'm dead right there, so. Dead, complete, unfinished. And then he took me there. I think I was so nervous. I was so scared. I never thought television would have been a part of my life. Not like that. And while I was doing the audition package, I made an error. And I think I did a little swear. And he said to me, then tell me something. If that should happen when you're actually on air, would you do that? The rest is history. Sexism was there, you know, but I don't know if it's through the people looking on. It was right there in the station. I remember, you know, I worked hard. I'm a hard worker. I don't have plans for where I want to be, but if you give me something to do, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability, and I'll likely show up the others around me. So at one stage, I was like, by the time I was mid-20s, I was made chief announcer. That means I'm in charge of all the announcer. Them. Well, some of the male announcers were not amused. Not only were they older, but they wonder, where is the little wisp of a woman come about? She had chief announcer in charge. Are we? No, sir. So one of them stood up in the corridor between the studios and was praying on me. Literally, I concentrate and meditate. I'm not joking, you know. I won't call the name of the person. He has since moved on to another place, heaven. But I didn't make that bother me because I don't have hate. I've never hated in my life. I saw it. I recognize that there's an issue. But the issue is not me, you know. The issue is you. You know, get on with what you have to do and accomplish yourself in such a way, contribute in such a way that you are viewed in a particular way and people will give you what you think that you should have. But this sexism, that was one occasion. Now, let me tell you something, to be truthful. I believe, away from that moment, and I can understand the challenge that some men folk would have with it, I really, you know, the still people speak about the glass ceiling that women experience in industry and in business. I have never experienced it, you know, because if you think it is there, you'll find it. I go after what I want and not stepping on anybody either, and do what you need to do to the best of your ability and get on with the job. So, you know, sometimes, well, you know something? I really shouldn't say that it has affected me away from that one. So maybe there's something happening in the background that I wasn't even aware of, but I was just getting on with it. And I had people who believed in me because guess what? I did what I had to do, and I was always improving on what I had to do, because in my estimation, you're only as good as your last performance. Well, there was a time when the Jamaica Public Service Company used to have frequent power cuts in the afternoon and in the evenings. And I was coming down Hope Road, it is. Now, when these power cuts occurred, the entire halfway tree would be jammed in all directions. And the police would be there trying to sort things out. So this evening, I was coming down, passing what was Jamaica Broilers, now business center, that is at Winchester Road. But the thing had backed up all the way up near to Trafalgar Road. So we're sitting there like 45 minutes. And then I'm checking this watch and I'm getting concerned. News, we had changed the news time from 7 to 8 at one time, so I don't remember what time it was. But it was coming close to the news time, too close for comfort. And I'm saying, but this thing can't work because it's just not moving. So I just put the car up on the sidewalk, come out, lock it and run. You understand? Bethel Baptist Church, JBC, South Odeon Avenue. One of the worst things you must do when you're going to present is never run to the studio. But I ran with sufficient time that I would get my new script, go it over quick, and calm myself, get my breathing flowing smoothly again, and then go into studio. That is the kind of discipline that you need to do. One morning, the driver didn't come for me. This is like dark, when I used to do the morning ride show. And I'm in Havendale. And I just found myself wandering out onto Manningshill Road in the dark. You're afraid that somebody might have hold you up, but you do it. And I hear a car come down from Smokyville. And I'm saying, oh God, just make this not be a criminal. And when the car goes, and pull up with somebody, no, Hugh Cross kill him and go into. And but the kind of initiation and orientation and training that we got is you just don't show up late at all. Or you just don't say, them the driver not come, so me lay down back and sleep because what? I'm not calm. That's not how we were. That's not how I was introduced to the business. You get on with the job. You find a way to make it happen. I agree that I'm self-made and fiercely independent, but no one is self-made by themselves. If you know what I mean? I have been encouraged, supported, guided, critiqued by some people who've meant a lot to me in my life, both in theater and in broadcasting. I stand on their shoulders and have stood on their shoulders. Yes, I'm a go-getter. Yes, you can take the horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. But if I didn't meet those people, and I'm not calling them horses now, if I didn't meet those people who were there for me, I'm not certain how I would have handled it. I'm talking about people like the late Wycliffe Bennett, Leonie Forbes, Bobby Gisses, the late Bobby Gisses. I'm talking about the late Dr. Olive Lewin. I spent a year with the Jamaican folk singers, 73 to 74, and I learned so much more than just music and folk songs. But let me just say, learning about the folk songs and learning about the folk culture was amazing. The context in which she brought it to us, etc. But then she also taught the importance of excellence. And from her I learned, you don't practice until you get it right. You practice until you can't get it wrong. No, why I couldn't did Brighton come up with that? That's Dr. Olive Lewin. And she was speaking about doing the harmonies and the melodies and the phrasing and all of that. But it applies to everything in life. If you're writing a story for print, or if you're playing a part on stage, or if you're developing games for computer, it doesn't matter. Have you ever done something like a foreign language, for example, and you get vocabulary, and yes, I do the word for French, for garden is jardin, and you walk out of a place and go, what the word for garden again? You have to keep practicing until it becomes a way of life. Mathematics, anything in life. So I thank the late Honorable Dr. Olive Lewin for that. You don't practice until you get it right. You practice until you can't get it wrong. Powerful, poignant.